More than 450 people gathered in Orlando, Florida for the 2013 AEM annual meeting. For some, it started off with a little golf, but for everyone, it was a chance to gain insight into the opportunities and challenges ahead while networking with others in the industry. Attendees were treated to world-class speakers.
So we're at a moment in history right now when capital is more available than it's ever been, and we're moving into an era where it's going to be less available than it has ever been. And that is going to happen in every developed country in the world in the next 11 years.
Who's crowdfunding to develop your next products? How do you crowdsource design? How do you run incentive competitions? Let's look at each of these exponential technologies. Let's talk about where AI is going. How would you use this? How do you use 3D printing? Because unless you're actually allowing this stuff in and understanding the impact and how do you use it, it's just going to blindside you.
It used to be when a debate would begin, you'd have Democrats stake out a crazy position here and Republicans stake out a crazy position here because they knew they would end up here in the middle. Now Democrats stake out a crazy position here and Republicans a crazy position here because they're crazy. There is no middle.
265 people attended the sold-out AEM Political Action Committee Gala held at Jelly Rolls. The unprecedented support resulted in a record $93,860 being raised. Day 2 brought insights from more thought leaders.
But I find that for some of our vendors, what they do for us is changing. As we manage the equipment better, we find that it also may be more effective for us to outsource certain things with maintenance to the vendor because we're not doing it as intensely. So we're finding that now I'm spending money with the vendors, not just for the equipment, but the equipment plus some services.
If you can make the value of your product greater, the intrinsic value, make you less of a commodity and more of a specialist, then the profit in that product is much greater. So maybe you sell less steel and more computers, but you might have twice the profit in a business that was 80% the volume.
Before committee meetings and the new executive locker rooms, attendees heard from an economic panel.
That is, total construction spending will probably increase somewhere between 6 and 10%, but it's going to be very uneven both by segment and by geography.
Any global trade story you're going to tell has to kind of be China, China, China. On the demand side, and on the supply side obviously needs to be South America, as well as we talked about before, the Black Sea region.
We've got a very good chance to be energy sufficient by the energy independent by the end of the decade. I mean, it is the amount of oil that we're finding.
By the end of this decade.
Yes. And the certainly North American energy dependent, even probably sooner than that. But
AEM Chair Stu Levenick of Caterpillar led the business meeting where 26 companies were recognized as pillars of the industry for their support of the I Make America campaign. Rick Paddock of Aztec Industries was named the new chair, and the new executive board was elected. Helmut Kloss of Kloss, Frederick Schwing of Schwing, and Ray O'Connor of the Topcon Positioning Group were all inducted into the Hall of Fame. And the conference was capped off by a performance by the Guess Who.